Central to the idea of um, calling the church to change is this idea of rebranding um, the ways in which the church has influenced what health is, because of the way that it has typically moralized um, not just medicine, but also if we think about um, not just Black bodies, but if you look at the bodies of work that even proceed from those that are not considered to be normative. So if we think even in terms of, for example, the historically Black church in America, if we look at other populations within the faith, such as indigenous peoples, what we end up seeing is not just a pathologizing of Black bodies, but a pathologizing of the bodies of work that proceed from those. So this is why we have such difficult times with being taken seriously theologically, if we're talking liberation theology or disability theology or feminism, anything that is that deviates from what is considered to be the norm, even those quote unquote bodies and bodies of work are also pathologized and considered to be innately deficient. And so I think one of the things that is important to do is to interrogate the images of Blackness, disability, and health that currently persist. And we see that actually being done in the genius work of Dr. King and so many others in the civil rights movement, who thought that it was best as a strategy to rebuild the American narrative about Black bodies by providing alternative visions for Black America and its relationship to the failed American dream of all people receiving equal treatment. What we see primarily in early Puritan theology that shaped why we see this moralization of medical issues and the pathologizing of Blackness is we see an ethos of charity, but we never see an ethos of equality. And so charity always positions one group as the authority who gets to define what is needed and what is necessary in sort of a paternalistic way. We continue to see that, and it's spilled over into healthcare, starting with what I started with, the examples of the two women who were both educated. They defied all the stereotypes of why Black people are considered to be innately disabled. They are both educated, one a PhD, one a medical doctor. They defied all that, and still there was this paternalization of their health issue as if they weren't able to define their own maternal health. And that comes from a long history of the church continuing to position itself as I said, all the way up until probably the early 1900s. Clergy defined that, but it came with the paternalization. So Dr. King helps to provide sort of a good way forward if we can continue to pick up on that work. And it calls for an interrogating of the images of Blackness and disability in our American context. But also, I think one of the things that should also be considered is we use the insecurities of Blacks and disabled as a measurement for understanding institutional racism. A great scholar that I read about is a Black trans scholar named Deshaun Harrison, talks about insecurity as part of an institution. And so insecurity, rather than being something that our American narrative has placed on the individuals, also as a moral failing, what he contends, and I agree, that it's actually a measurement of institutional racism and ableism, because those insecurities derive from the notion and the idea that there is threat of punishment for not meeting what is considered to be a typical or normal body. So those insecurities are not in and of themselves a moral failing. It is the result of an ableist structure. And so Black bodies and disabled bodies continue to be insecure because they understand that there's a punishment for not meeting the standard of what is, and all that has derived from the church. So what I would say the challenge is, because we are those who hold to the theological position of being image bearers, then the primary role in some ways of the church is to produce healthy images. And I think that includes to interrogate those images that have been cast on our fellow brothers and sisters as not being healthy. And it's our work to lead in society to interrogate those images of Blackness and disability, and to help produce better images of what it means to be image bearers, and what it means to be healthy, what it means to be Black. Those are, I think, ways that we can at least begin to address some of those issues, because it is part of the core of who we are as Christians, to be image bearers. So we have to be in the forefront of interrogating bad images and creating new images.